Thank you very much for your time. When this whole debate came up for the scrapping of the office of the Special Prosecutor, there are many who said that indeed it was the time was right to scrap it. But then the president came out to say that no, we should give the OSP time to operate and also, fast track the processes as far as the prosecution in the office is concerned. You think the intervention by the president was right?
Yeah, first of all, thank you very much, and a very good evening to all your listeners. But first of all, let me correct something. I think the many that were calling for the scrapping of the office were mostly from the political class. I think for the many of us as Ghanaians, as civil society, who thought that there was really no basis for that. We're all we're not in the politicians who have been the subject matter for the OSP's investigations and so on. So that for me, I think has to be established. So that this is not a popular view. This is not a mandate that the people of Ghana have given to MPs to go and prosecute. It looks like very much people's own convictions as parliamentarians that they think that this office was unnecessary. And for me, they had not offered any tenable arguments that supported, that position. But I mean, we welcome the president's intervention. I know that has generated its own controversy. After that, around the checks and balances and the independence of Parliament, and we can discuss that as well.
But Asante, there are many who or those who were opposing the OSP and calling for us to abolish. The argument for them was that the OSP has not lived up to Berlin. The OSP has not lived up to its mandate. They expect the aggressive prosecution 7 years down the line since the establishment of the office, and yet there's nothing really to show. Yeah.
So let me again deal with facts. And I've made this statement over again that until 2022, which is the first time that the OSP got a full budget to actually build that office, get the office set up, an office that during Mr. Amidu's time until he secured just before he left, and when Mr. Kisijabin came in 2021, it took until 2022 before a budget was actually provided for the fitting of that office. And it's a lot of work. The new office, a new law enforcement office, it's probably until 2024 that really operationally the OSP was working. And since that time, I mean, everybody can attest to cases that have been sent to court and investigations that this is the only law enforcement agency that publishes its work that's been doing every 6 months. No other law enforcement agency does that. So the evidence is there as to the performance. So again, I disagree. The narrative that's been put out there about the OSP's performance, that I don't think, again, is substantiated by the evidence that is available. So there was these issues have been raised about constitutionality of the office, and I believe we're going to have a constitutional review process. Those matters can be addressed. So really, there's no rush if there is any concerns about whether or not it's constitutionally grounded. That could be addressed in the upcoming constitutional review process.
Doc, what does this backing from the president mean to the OSP?
No, I think it means that, at least the president's commitment to that office, but also to the role of that office, because you have to go back to the APRM days when we first identified that there was a challenge. I wouldn't say the first time, but at least in the APRM assessment, we all concluded that there was a need to separate the Ministry of Justice from Attorney General. That's how it started. And then, over time, even through the National Anti-Corruption Action Plan, we said we had to have an independent public prosecutor. And the MPP took this position that, no, until we get constitutional review, let's have a stopgap measure. And that's how the OSP came about. So this matter has been settled in terms of the imperative of having, an office, an independent prosecutor that prosecutes corruption of politically exposed persons. It's 20 years now. So the idea that that imperative has disappeared just in the last couple of weeks because people have issues, maybe they have issues with the occupant of the position and so on and so forth. For me, it's not tenable. And it's really, for me, I was really taken aback because you can't move from an imperative that has been established over 20 years and then you just pretend, that you are going to get rid of it because you think you are not satisfied with something that's going on there. I don't see the same reaction when Yoko doesn't deliver or the AG doesn't. We don't say we abolished Yoko. So I really think that the president has shown that consistency to the office. He's also affirmed the imperative that this imperative is very important, and we must ensure that we finally design an anti-corruption architecture that would deliver accountability for Ghanaians. For me, that's a very, very important thing.
The minority in Ghana's parliament believe that the request from the president to have the two MPs, stay down their motion to get the bill repealed is an interference in the work of parliament. What do you make of this comment?
So first of all, that whole repeal bill should really not even have started. But of course, MPs have their rights under the private members bill to initiate prosecution. Ordinarily, a majority leader, a chief whip, would have had discussions with the executive because they are all part of cabinet, right? They would have discussed it because there is no way I can see where the person who's leading government business has not had a discussion with the executive and goes ahead to propose legislation. If it was the opposition member or a backbencher, even the backbencher will consult. So it is very odd, that it started in that place. One would have preferred that the executive would have reached out to the majority leader behind closed doors and said, no, this is the president's position. These things have to be discussed in cabinet before we take on. Remember, there was a recent circular about ministers, proposing legislation, and there was a process that has to, and there wasn't even legislation, policy as well. So there is obviously a protocol challenge there that the executive and the leader of the position, the majority leader or parliament must work out because it is not good. This kind of conflict, is not good for policy making. And really, I was very surprised that it was done without even cabinet discussing a decision like this. But as I said, the MPs are within their rights through private members bill. We as citizens, they have to also represent us because they are not representing themselves. So we have to be able to also be out there saying that this is not what we are asking you to do because you are not there to represent yourself. So I mean, it's an unfortunate development, but it obviously has shown that there has to be more communication across the whole of government when it comes to policy making, so that as citizens we are clear who is responsible for what.
Doc, as always, thank you very much for your time. Dr. Kojo
Asante,
the Director of Advocacy and Policy Engagement